week we're going to be looking at photo basics, and we're going to look at the things that make a good image, make a strong image, one that you really want to go back and look at again, or that keeps your eye. So we're going to look at a couple different things in order to achieve that. First of all, this week I'd like you to look at this slideshow here and look at some photos from a photographer named Michael Ackerman. He has a lot of images on this website here, and I'd like you to just look at them and hopefully get inspired by them. Now, the other thing that we're going to look at is rules of composition. Now, these are more guidelines than rules, and if you use these guidelines of composition, it's going to make your images much stronger. Now, there's a slideshow in the tutorials that talks about it and what I'm looking for as far as rules of composition. The next thing that we're going to look at is depth of field and how depth of field works to create super strong photographs that are memorable, and the way we use depth of field in order to blur the background or to blur the foreground or any part of the image that we don't want to distract from the main focus of our image. So from that discussion, you're going to then provide me some examples of depth of field and how that is used to make images. The next thing that we're going to look at is shutter speed, and we're going to look at how shutter speed affects motion and other things that affect motion and shutter speed as well. And then again, I want you to provide some examples that show me that you understood what we're talking about in the tutorial. Next, we're going to look at ISO and how ISO affects our images, and again, I'm going to want you to provide some examples from that. So for your assignment, what you're going to do is you're going to download or shoot 3 images. Now, I'd really prefer if you shot these with your own digital camera, but if you don't have a digital camera, you can just download them off the internet. So I want you to submit or download or shoot 3 images, only 3, that represent 3 different rules of composition. So 1 rule of thirds, 1 shape, 1 texture, or 1 line, 1 color, 1 repetition. I don't want you to submit all of them, only 3, and 1 of each. I don't want you to submit 3 rules of thirds or 3 lines. You're going to have to do 3 different ones, 3 different rules of composition. If necessary, crop or resize the images to 800 by 1200 and then save as a JPEG. Well, you might ask, well, how do I do that? How do I crop the images to 800 by 1200? Well, here's the image that I would turn in as an example of rule of thirds. And if I want to submit this, let's see what size this is. If we go to image size, the size is 847 by 1269. So it doesn't have to be exactly 800 by 1200, but I want you to make it close to 800 by 1200. And probably the best way to do this is to take your image and save for the web. And in this dialog box, you're going to see an image size here with width and height. So take the larger of the 2, width or height, and make it 1200. And it's going to be close. It's close to 800 by 1200. Make sure it's JPEG high, then click Save. And then wherever I intend to save this as, I'm just going to save it to the desktop. And then it's ready to submit.